The cold night and the desperate office snow covered the ground like a thick white blanket. The night was cold, the kind of cold that made bones ache and fingers go numb. Inside a small wooden cabin on the edge of the frozen lands, a man named Jace sat near his fire, sipping warm tea. He lived alone, far from cities and noise. His life was simple, just him, the forest, and the silence. But tonight, the silence broke. A soft knock came at his door. Not loud, not fast, just slow, ... and weak. Jace looked up, confused. No one ever came here, especially not at this hour. He stood up, grabbed his coat, and walked to the door. He opened it, tan froze. A woman stood there, not human. Her skin had a pale silver glow, and her eyes shimmered like frost under moonlight. Her clothes were torn, wet from the snow. In her arms, she held a small alien child wrapped in a thin cloth, both shivering badly. She looked into Jace's eyes and whispered in a trembling voice, "If I warm your bed, will you let us stay the night?" Jace's heart stopped. The question hit him hard. He saw fear in her eyes, not just fear of rejection, but fear of harm. Her words were not an offer of desire. They were an act of desperation. He didn't answer. He just stepped aside and said softly, "Come in." The alien woman hesitated, shocked by the kindness. No human had ever reacted like that before. She stepped inside, still holding her child close, her legs shaking from exhaustion. Jace closed the door behind her and walked to the fire. "Sit here, warm up," he said. She slowly sat down. The child clung to her, eyes half closed. Jace brought them a blanket and placed it over their shoulders. "You're safe now," he said quietly. The woman didn't reply. She stared at the fire, holding her child tightly. Her body was tense, like she was waiting for something bad to happen. Jace noticed it but said nothing. He just made a small bowl of soup and handed it to her. "Thank you," she whispered after a long pause. Her voice was soft, afraid. They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled. Outside, the wind howled like a hungry beast. The child fell asleep in her arms. "What's your name?" Jace asked gently. The woman looked up. "Lyra." "I'm Jace," he said, offering a small smile. Lyra looked at him for a moment, then asked, "Why didn't you take what I offered?" Jace leaned back. "Because you didn't want to give it. You only said it because you were scared." Lyra looked down, ashamed. "We had nowhere else to go." Jace nodded. "You don't owe me anything. You and your child need rest, that's all." Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not since she escaped, not since the galaxy had turned its back on her. "Your child, how old is she?" 3 years, Lyra answered, her voice barely above a whisper. "She hasn't eaten much for days." "Then she'll eat tomorrow," Jace said. "You both will." She looked at him again. "Why are you helping us?" He shrugged. "Because someone once helped me when I had nothing. I just ... Remember what that felt like?" The fire warmed the room, and slowly, the cold inside Lyra began to melt too. Not just in her body, but in her heart. She felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. Jace got up and pointed toward a small bed in the corner. "You can sleep there. I'll take the floor." Lyra opened her mouth to protest but stopped. She was too tired to argue, too cold to pretend she didn't need this. She walked over, laid her daughter gently on the bed, and then sat beside her. The blanket was thick, warm. She pulled it over them both and looked back at Jace. "Thank you," she said again. This time, it came from deep inside her. Jace nodded. "Get some rest. We'll talk tomorrow." As Lyra lay in the bed with her child, her mind raced. Who was this human? Why was he so kind? And how long could this warmth last? She didn't have the answers, but for the first time in years, she closed her eyes and slept without fear. Not what she expected. Morning sun rose slowly, casting a golden light over the snowy forest. The storm had passed, but the air was still freezing cold. Inside the small wooden cabin, warmth spread from the fireplace, filling the quiet space with comfort. Lyra woke up slowly, her daughter still sleeping beside her. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. But then her eyes saw the log ceiling, the warm blanket, the silent fire, and she remembered the man, the human, Jace. He had not touched her. He had not even looked at her the way others did, and that confused her more than anything. She gently brushed her daughter's hair, then sat up. The warmth on her skin reminded her this wasn't a dream. She looked across the room. Jace was sitting by the window, reading something on a small screen. His coat was still on, and he had clearly slept in a chair. He noticed her wake up and gave a small nod. "Good morning," he said quietly. "You both slept well." Lyra nodded slowly. "Better than ... ever." Jace stood and walked over. He handed her a cup of something hot. It smelled sweet, herbal tea, good for warmth. Lyra took it, hesitantly. Their hands touched for a second. Jace's skin was warm, firm, not threatening. "Thank you," she said softly. "She's still asleep?" Jace asked, looking at the child. Lyra nodded. "She's not used to sleeping so peacefully. Usually we hide in old tunnels, cold, wet floors." "That's not a life," Jace said with a sad expression. "We didn't have a choice," Lyra whispered. Jace didn't ask questions. Not yet. He just walked back to the window and opened it a little. Cold air rushed in. Lyra pulled the blanket tighter around her daughter. "Sorry," he said. "I just wanted to make sure no one's watching." That made her heart skip. "Are they ... looking for us?" Jace turned. "You tell me." Lyra lowered her eyes. Silence filled the room. Jace didn't push. After a few moments, she spoke. "They're always watching. For people like me. Who are they?" She paused. Then, as if the truth had grown, "Too heavy to carry alone," she said. "Traders. Slavers. They take girls from the poorer colonies, promise them jobs, then sell them to the highest bidder." Jace's fists tightened. He didn't say a word, but something burned behind his calm eyes. "I escaped," Lyra said. "They were drunk, careless. I ran with my daughter. Since then, we've been hiding." Jace took a deep breath. "How long?" "Almost a year." He nodded. "You're safe here." Lyra gave a sad smile. "No place is safe. They have scanners, drones. If they think I'm here, they'll burn the forest down to find us." Jace leaned forward. "Then they'll have to go through me first." Lyra looked at him, stunned. "Why would you?" "Because I've seen evil before," Jace said. "I know what it looks like, and I know how to stop it." A sound came from outside. Both turned sharply. Lyra grabbed her daughter. Jace moved to the door, but it was just snow falling from the roof. Still, ... The fear remained. Hours passed. Jace made food, simple but warm. Lyra's daughter finally woke and ate without fear. Her small hands held the spoon tightly, afraid it would be taken. Jace watched them silently. Something about this little girl's smile. It reminded him of something long buried after lunch. He asked, "What's her name?" Lyra looked up. "Sina, he repeated. "She's strong, like her mother." Lyra looked away, uncomfortable. Later that day, Jace took Sina outside to see the snow. Lyra stood at the door, watching. The little girl laughed as Jace showed her how to make a snowball. "What is this?" Sina asked. "Snow," Jace smiled. "The cold can be fun too, if you're safe." Lyra's heart hurt. This moment felt like something stolen from another life. A better life. But her joy didn't last. That evening Jace checked a device hidden behind a panel in his wall. It blinked red. His expression changed. Lyra noticed. "What's wrong?" He didn't lie. "Someone pinged my location." Her eyes widened. They found us. Not yet, but someone is trying. She started to panic. We have to leave. Now. We'll go. You don't need this trouble. Jace held up a hand. You're not running anymore. You don't understand. They don't stop. They don't care about humans either. They'll kill you just to get to me. Let them try, Jace said calmly. Why? Why do you care? Lyra shouted. I offered you my body to survive. You could have taken what you wanted and thrown us out. But you didn't. And now you're risking your life. Why? Jace was silent. Then he spoke. Because a long time ago, someone gave me shelter too, and that night changed everything for me. I wouldn't be alive if they hadn't cared. Lyra looked at him, breathing heavily. Her hands trembled. You don't owe me anything, she whispered. Maybe not, Jace said, but I want to do what's right. And what's right, ... is helping you. They stood there, two broken souls, trying to understand the meaning of kindness in a cruel galaxy. Outside, the wind howled again, but inside, something strong had begun to grow, trust. Scars from Two Worlds' cabin felt quiet that night. Not peaceful, but heavy. Something unspoken hung in the air between Jace and Lyra. Jace had lit only one lantern. Soft shadows moved along the wooden walls. Senna had already fallen asleep in the warm bed, her small body wrapped tightly in blankets. Her breathing was confinedly free from fear, if only for now. Jack sat near the fire, sharpening a knife, not because he needed it, but because his hands needed something to do. Across from him, Lyra sat on the floor, hugging her knees, staring into the flames. Do you miss your world? Jace asked softly, breaking the silence. Lyra didn't answer right away. Then she said, I don't even know if it still exists. Jace looked at her. They destroyed it. She nodded, not with fire, with promises. They came offering food, work, shelter. People believed them. We were tired, poor, desperate. She looked down. So they signed contracts. We didn't know what we were really agreeing to. And by the time we found out, it was too late. Her voice cracked. Jace stayed quiet, listening. I was only 17 when they took me. They said I was pretty, that someone rich would want me. I thought. Maybe it meant I would be safe. Instead, I was sold. More than once, she closed her eyes. Her fingers dug into her arms. They used drugs to make us obey. Collars to keep us from running. Cameras watching, always. Jace clenched his jaw. Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. I tried to end my life once. They stopped me. Said I was worth too much. Jace leaned forward. How did you escape? One night, she said, her hands trembling. A guard fell asleep after drinking. His keycard was on the table. I took Senna, she was just a baby, and ran through a waste chute. Ended up in the slums of an alien market. We lived in tunnels, trash piles, abandoned stations. Anything to hide. Tears ran down her face now, but no matter where we went, I felt them chasing me. Jay stood slowly and walked to the small shelf beside the fire. He opened a wooden box and pulled out a small bottle. Then he poured warm liquid into a cup and handed it to her. This will help. Just herbs and warmth. She took it with both hands, trying to stop her shaking. Thank you, she said. They sat quietly again. After some time, Jace looked into the flames and said, You're not the only one with scars. Lyra turned her head. I used to be a soldier, Jace continued. Earth had a contract war with a mining planet. They paid us to fight. Didn't tell us the full truth. He took a breath. We thought we were protecting colonists. Turns out we were helping a company crush a rebellion. I saw innocent people killed. Families burned alive. Just for standing up for their land. He touched his chest. This scar, not from a bullet, from a child. A little girl tried to stab me. She thought I was the enemy. Lyra's eyes widened. I carried her to the medical bay. She died before we got there. He looked away. After that, I left, disappeared, built this cabin, and told myself the galaxy could burn. I didn't care anymore. He looked at her now, until you knocked on my door. Lyra didn't know what to say. For the first time, she saw Jace not just as a protector, but as someone deeply broken too. Different scars, same pain. Why did you save me? She asked quietly. Maybe, he said, because saving you is the first thing that feels right in a long time. Outside, the wind had stopped. Snow fell gently, silent like feathers. But inside, something real and deep had started forming between them. Not romance, not yet, but something powerful. Connection. The next day, Jace showed them his hidden cellar. Food, supplies, clothes. He had stored everything for years. You'll stay here until we figure out where it's safe to go next, he said. But they'll still be searching, Lyra warned. They have hunters, sensors. They don't forget. Then we prepare, Jace said. I have old contacts. Not clean ones, but people who owe me favors. Smugglers, hackers. Maybe they can help. Lyra hesitated. This is too much. You're risking everything. No, Jace said firmly. You and Senna are the only things that matter now. Senna ran up to him, tugging on his hand. Look, she smiled, holding a little snow sculpture she had made. It's a family. Mama, me, and you. Jace looked at it. He couldn't speak. Lyra felt something break inside hers, something she had locked away for years. Hope that night. Jace heard static on one of his old comm devices. It wasn't natural. Someone was bouncing a signal off a hidden satellite. He ran a scan. Coordinates appeared. Close, too close. He turned and ran to Lyra. They're near. Her eyes filled with fear. How near? An hour, maybe less. She grabbed Sina and held her tight. What do we do? Jace looked at his old weapons case. It had dust on it, but the tools inside still worked. We fight if we must, he said. But we don't run anymore. Lyra stared at him. You'd fight for us. No, he said, loading a plasma rifle. I'll fight for what's right. The ones who want her back. Trees stood still like watchers in the snow, frozen in time. But something moved among them, silent, fast, and precise. 3 shadows approached the cabin from the north. Their armor was black and curved, made to blend into the dark. Glowing red visors scanned the ground with slow sweeps. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They were hunters, and they had come for Lyra. Inside the cabin, Jace loaded his second plasma rifle. His eyes were focused, steady. He hadn't held a weapon like this in years, but his body still remembered. Every click, every part, every step. He glanced at Lyra, who held Sina tightly near the corner. They're trained, Jace said. Not bounty hunters. Professionals. Lyra's face turned pale. Then, they'll never stop. Jace looked at her. I've stopped worse. He pulled open a hidden drawer in the floor and tossed her a small device. What is it? She asked. A pulse shield generator. When I tell you, press the button. It'll give you 10 seconds of cover. Enough to run to the safe hatch behind the fireplace. And you? She asked. I stay. No, Lyra said quickly. They'll kill you. Jace gave a half smile. They'll try. Sina's small voice broke the tension. I'm scared. Jace walked over and knelt down. He gently touched her shoulder. You don't need to be. You've got 2 people who won't let anything happen to you. He looked at Lyra. This ends tonight. Outside, the lead hunter raised his arm. A signal blinked in his glove. His visor zoomed in. Heat signatures. Confirmed. 3 life forms inside. Target identified. Lyra of Sector 8. Bounty. 60,000 credits. Child included. He gave a silent hand signal. Move in. Inside, Jace turned off the lights. Only the glow of the fire remained. He could feel the tension in the air, like a storm just before it strikes. Suddenly, a sharp beep came from the scanner on his wall. They're close, Jace whispered. 30 meters. Lyra tensed. How many? 3, maybe more, watching. He looked at her again. Get ready. Then came the sound tap, tap, tap. Not knocking, not banging. Metal feet on snow. They were surrounding the cabin, outside the door. A low voice spoke an alien tongue through a cum device. We know you're inside. Hand over the asset and her spawn. No one else has to die. Jace picked up the rifle. They always say that. He walked slowly to the window and peeked. One of them stood only 10 steps. A wagon aimed forward. Another circled to the side, scanning. He had one shot. Giuseppe. The plasma bolt hit the side of the first hunter's helmet. Sparks flew. The hunter stumbled backward, but didn't fall. Jack ducked instantly. Return fire exploded across the front wall. Crash, crack, shatter. Splinters flew as plasma rounds hit the cabin. Lyra screamed and shielded Cena now. Jace shouted. Lyra hit the button on the pulse shield. A glowing blue barrier formed around them as the wall behind the fireplace slid open, revealing a narrow escape tunnel. Go, don't stop, Jace yelled. Lyra ran with Cena through the opening, the shield crackling around them. Jace turned back to the window. The lead hunter was up again, and this time, he was angry. The firefight began. JACE, single quotes his cabin, once a place of peace, became a war zone. He fired fast, clean, each shot aimed with purpose. He didn't miss. He hit one hunter's leg. The figure dropped to a knee, snarling in pain, but another came from the rear. A blast tore through the roof, knocking Jace backward. He hit the ground hard, ears ringing, vision blurred, but he forced himself up. Not yet. He ran to the back door, opened it, and threw a flash grenade into the snow. Boom. Light exploded across the dark forest. The hunters paused for seconds, but that was enough. JACE slipped through the trees, moving toward the hidden tunnel exit. His plan had never been to hold the cabin. It was a trap, and they had walked right into it. In the tunnel, Lyra ran, holding Cena close. The narrow path was cold and dark. She heard distant echoes, gunfire, shouting, explosions. Her legs burned. Her heart pounded. Was Jace alive? Was he right behind them? She kept moving. Finally, she reached a metal door. She pressed her hand to the scanner. Click. It opened into a hidden cave, once used by old miners, and standing inside was JCE. Alive, breathing hard, gun still smoking. You made it, he said. Lyra rushed forward and hugged him tight, surprising even herself. I thought, she began. I'm still here, he said, gently placing his hand on her back. Senna ran to him and hugged his leg. Hours later, they sat near a fire deeper inside the cave. Lyra looked at him. They'll come again. Yes, Jace nodded. But now we move first. Where? To someone who owes me. Someone who knows how to disappear completely. Lyra hesitated. Even if we escape, we'll never be free. Jace looked into her eyes. Freedom starts the moment you stop running and fight. She stared at him. Something inside her lung buried awoke. Not fear, not pain, rage, and will. The human who defied the trade, lord's fire in the cave, was fading. Jace sat quietly, his back resting against the rock wall, staring at a black cum device in his hand. The screen blinked slowly. He hadn't used this frequency in years. Next to him, Lyra held Senna, her arms wrapped tightly around the girl's small body. Both had finally fallen asleep. Their faces looked peaceful, but Jace knew peace wouldn't last long. He stared at the blinking screen again, then whispered, "Come on, pick up." After a moment, a rough voice cracked through the speaker. "This line's dead. Who is this?" Jace answered firmly. "Delta code, XACO unit." The voice paused. "You're not serious, Jace. I need a favor." A dry laugh. "You disappeared, man. 10 years off the grid. Now you call me up like we're having coffee." "Not coffee," Jace said. "A war." The voice changed. "Now serious. Talk." An hour later, Jace stood over a crude map scratched into the cave floor. He marked paths, signal towers, old smuggler trails. Lyra watched him, confused. "Who was that?" she asked. "Name's Corvin," Jace replied. "We fought together in the Blackstone siege. He runs a network now. Off-grid smugglers, rebels, ex-military. Can he help us escape?" she asked. "No," Jace said. "He's not helping us run. He's helping us fight." Lyra blinked. "You still want to fight?" "They don't just want you back, Lyra," Jace said. "They want every girl like you, every child like Sina, and no one's stopping them." "You think 3 people can stop a galaxy?" "No," Jace said, eyes steady. "But the galaxy listens when someone finally screams loud enough." The next night, a small ship landed deep in the forest near the cave. Its body was old, scarred from many battles. Out stepped a short, thick-built man with cybernetic eyes and a worn jacket. "Jace, you bastard," he said. "You've aged like sour milk." "Still better than you," Jace replied, smiling. Lyra stayed close, holding Sina's hand. Corvin looked at her, then at the child. "This what you're risking your life for?" "They're not a risk," Jace said. "They're the reason," Corvin grunted. "Always knew you'd find a cause again." He tossed Jace a device. "There's a Trade Lord Summit happening in 3 days. All the buyers, sellers, and slavers in one place. Private, secure, secret. Can we get in?" Jace asked. Corvin smiled. "We're not sneaking in. We're breaking the gates." Lyra stepped forward. "You want to attack them?" "No," Jace said. "We want to expose them, live, to the entire galaxy." For the next 2 days, the cave became a war room. They built signal boosters, hacked into surveillance networks, loaded weapons, and planted traps in the forest. Lyra helped too. She wasn't hiding anymore. She learned how to hold a blaster, how to check a comm, how to protect Sina without just running. Jace watched her closely. There was something different now. She wasn't broken. She was becoming something stronger, a survivor, a fighter. On the day of the summit, Corvin's crew jammed the airwaves. Jace and Lyra flew in low, under radar, using a stolen trader shuttle. Sina was left behind with Corvin's most trusted friend, safe in a bunker deep underground. As they neared the city, Lyra looked at the tower's huge golden, built by the same monsters who once caged her. "You sure about this?" she asked. "They've hidden in the dark too long," Jace replied. "It's time the stars saw them." Inside the summit, rich aliens in fine robes walked across marble floors. They sipped golden drinks, laughed over silent auctions, and watched holograms of products from across the galaxy. No one noticed the 2 workers walking through the hall with cleaning carts. No one knew one of them had a hidden camera built into his collar, until the lights exploded, and Jace's voice filled the room. "Attention." The sound echoed through every speaker, every device, every screen across the building. "This is Jace of Earth, and you're about to be seen." The walls shimmered as hidden cameras revealed what was really inside this palace. Cages, girls, children, people treated like property. Across the galaxy, screens flickered, on mining ships, in marketplaces, on Alliance fleets. Everyone was watching. The trade lords panicked. Security bots activated, but it was too late. Alarms screamed. Firefights erupted in the halls. Corvin's team stormed the gates, blasting through guards. Jace and Lyra fought side by side. She didn't hesitate now. One slaver reached for her. She shot him cold, in the control room. Jace smashed the central server. "We're not hiding anymore," he said. "We're not scared. And we're not alone." By the time Alliance ships arrived, the trade summit was in flames. The world saw everything, the names, the crimes, the faces of those who had profited from pain, and Jace's message had gone viral. A week later, Lyra stood outside the cave. Again, Sina ran to her, laughing. Jace sat nearby, watching the fire. They're offering you protection, he said. A safe place to start over. Lyra looked at him. What about you? I still have work to do, he said. Others. To free. You don't have to do it alone. Jace looked at her and smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. The price of Kinnist Galaxy was no longer silent after Jace's message. Entire systems had begun to question what they thought they knew. Slave networks were exposed. Names of powerful buyers leaked. Rebellions sparked on the edges of forgotten worlds. But with light comes shadow. And some shadows were angry. Jace stood at the edge of a hill, staring across a snow-covered valley. The wind blew gently, carrying the scent of pine and cold steel. His coat flapped behind him, deep underground. Lyra and Senna were safe for now. Corvin's voice came through the comm. You've poked the nest, old friend. Good, Jace replied. Let them come. They're not sending hunters this time, Corvin warned. They're sending cleansers. Full teams, elite. Trained to erase everything and everyone. Jace didn't blink. Then I'll erase them first. Inside the cave, Lyra packed quietly. Senna sat nearby, drawing pictures in the dirt. One showed her Jace and her mother standing under stars. She hummed softly. You're quiet, Lyra said. Sina looked up. Is Jace leaving? Lyra hesitated. Maybe he's going to stop the bad people. I want to help, Sina whispered. Lyra smiled sadly. You already did. You reminded him what he was fighting for. Sina tilted her head. You love him, don't you? Lyra froze. She looked at her daughter, young, innocent, but seeing too much. I don't know, Lyra replied softly. But I trust him, and that's something I haven't felt in a long time. That night, Jace returned. His face was serious. They found us. Lyra stood. How far? Closer than ever, he said. They'll attack before morning. Lyra picked up Senna instantly. Then we run. Jace shook his head. We stand. Just long enough. I've sent coordinates to Corvin. A shuttle is coming. But it can't land unless we hold the valley for 15 minutes. That's suicide, Lyra said. No, Jace replied. It's survival. He handed her a small cum bracelet. You take Senna. When the alarm goes off, you run. Follow the tunnel east. Get to the clearing. Corvin will be waiting. And you? She asked. I'll be behind you. She grabbed his hand. You better be. He gave a small smile, but didn't promise. Hours later, the cold was broken by the sound of engines. Dark shapes flew over the trees, black ships with no markings. The cleansers had arrived. They landed fast, hard, and without warning. Doors opened. Soldiers in red armor poured out, weapons ready. Jace was already moving. He fired from the trees, dropping 2 instantly. The others scattered, returning fire. Inside the cave, Lyra grabbed Senna and ran through the tunnel. Behind her, she heard the sounds of battle, plasma, explosions. Shouting Sina was crying. Where's Jace? He's coming, Lyra said. Just keep going. Her heart screamed that she was lying. Outside, Jace fought like a ghost. He moved through trees, using snow and shadow. Every shot he fired counted, but the soldiers were many. And Jace was only one. A blast hit the ground near him. He rolled, firing again. One more down, then another. But his side burned. He'd been hit. He dropped behind a fallen log, breathing hard. His vision blurred. 15 minutes. He looked at his timer. 3 left. He stood again, blood dripping from his coat, and screamed, You want me? Come get me. The soldiers turned. Jace ran, drawing them away from the landing zone. At the clearing, Lyra burst from the trees. The shuttle was descending fast. Corvin was already out, waving. Get in. Lyra shoved Senna inside. Wait, she said. We need to wait. No, Corvin said. He told me to take you. He's buying us time. Lyra turned to run back, But Corvin grabbed her. You'll die. So will he, she cried. And if you go back, it's all for nothing, Corvin shouted. Sina hugged her mother, sobbing, please, Mama, ... Jace said to stay safe. Lyra collapsed to her knees, torn in two. Then the shuttle rose. In the woods, Jace reached the last ridge. His body shook. His arm barely moved. Soldiers were closing in. He fired one last shot, then dropped. He lay on his back, staring up at the stars. Worth it, he whispered, and closed his eyes. But just as darkness took him, boom, a missile streaked from the sky. A second shuttle. Corvin's backup team. They had come for him. Days later, Jace woke in a medical bed. His chest was bandaged. Pain filled every bone, but he was alive. A soft hand touched his. He turned Lyra and Sina asleep beside her. You made it, he whispered. Lyra leaned in. You kept your promise. I always do. She smiled, then kissed his forehead. You gave us everything, she said. You gave me something back, Jace replied. Hope. The shelter she never knew she needed. Stars above them blinked, like tiny fires in a dark ocean. Soft winds moved through the tall grass, as the small house stood quiet on the hill, simple, strong, and peaceful. It had no walls of gold, no guards, no towers, but to Lyra, it was more than a home. It was freedom. 6 months had passed since the day Jace defied the trade lords. 6 months since Lyra ran through fire, carrying her daughter toward a ship, lit by hope. And 6 months since Jace was carried out of the forest, broken, burned, but alive. The galaxy had changed. Not fully, not cleanly, but the cracks had started. Slavers were hunted in public now. The markets once whispered about had been exposed. And more importantly, people were speaking. Survivors like Lyra, now protected by rebel networks, now given platforms, now heard. She had been asked to speak across colonies, but she had only one answer. I've said enough in chains. Now, I'll speak by building something free. One evening, Senna chased birds in the grass, laughing. Her feet were bare. Her dress danced with the wind. She had never been this full of joy. Not in tunnels, not in hiding, not even on the ships between stars. Lyra watched her from the porch, a mug of warm tea in her hands. She felt something strange, something she once thought impossible. Peace, behind her. The door opened. Jase walked out slowly, his arm still in a support brace, scars across his shoulder. But his steps were steady now, stronger every day. She's fast, he said, nodding toward Sina. She has your stubbornness, Lyra replied. He smiled. She's going to change the stars someday. She already did. They stood together in silence, watching the child who had once known only fear now run wild like she was meant to. Jace stepped closer. The rebel council sent another message today, he said. Lyra rolled her eyes. Let me guess. Another award ceremony. This time they offered land, a title. Ambassador of the Forgotten Colonies. That title still comes with speeches, she muttered. You could say no, he said. I already did. Jace turned to her. Why? She looked at him. Because the only thing I ever wanted was not to be owned, not by them, not by anyone. NOW. I'm free. Sina is free. And this, she motioned to the small house, an open sky, is more powerful than any podium. Then what will you do? He asked. Stay, she whispered. Build heal. She looked up at him, and ... maybe hope. His eyes softened. Hope for what? Lyra took a long breath. Her voice shook, but not with fear. Hope that what I feel ... is real. That what you gave us wasn't just kindness, but something that could stay. Jace stepped closer. I didn't just fight for a cause. I fought for you, and I'd do it again. Even if they come back. She asked. They won't, he said. The moment they try, the galaxy will rise with us this time. Lyra reached for his hand and held it. Then let's build something that never needs to be rescued again. Days later, Lyra stood before a group of refugee girls, many of them alien, all of them rescued from collapsed trade routes. Some didn't speak, others didn't trust. But Lyra didn't start with promises. She sat on the ground beside them and said, I once offered my body for shelter. Now, I offer you shelter, with nothing asked in return. They looked at her, some confused, some blinking through tears, and then they stepped forward, and a new home began. One night, as stars moved across the sky, Sina snuck into Jace's room. Can I ask something? She whispered. He sat up, smiling. Always. Can I call you ... Dad? Jace froze. His throat tightened. He nodded, voice cracking. Only if you want to. She hugged him tight. I already do. Outside, Lyra stared at the sky. The wind was gentle, the fields quiet, but her heart was loud with something fierce and soft at the same time. Love, not the kind traded in dark rooms or stolen in cages, but love born from truth, from healing, from choice. As Jace walked out, Sina asleep in his arms, Lyra smiled. He sat beside her and whispered, This is our forever now. And for the first time, Lyra believed it, because the night she offered her body for shelter ... was the night a human gave her something far greater, a life, a family, a home.